Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
From Grandma Terry's apartment in New York City. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. Thursday, Srimad Bhagavatam study. And we got some interesting information. Me and Kaustubha and Mara are going to the Thursday night kirtan tonight.
Oh, okay.
So if you're in the New York City area, we're going to be there. Our tribe, our Wisdom of the Sages tribe, is doing a surprise appearance at the Bhakti Center.
Right.
And if you're around, come on down, say hi.
And we will rock out.
Me and Kaustubha hung out yesterday. Do you have a name for your apartment? You know how some people name their houses?
Yeah, we call it Treetop Ashram.
Treetop?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like Sanskrit, like treetop and morari?
No, because we're at the treetops.
Because you're at the treetop. Okay.
Yeah, we're right there in the treetops.
You know, because like it's like in the Himalayas, there's Tapovan.
Yeah.
I thought it was like treetop bovan.
No, just treetop. We call it the Treetop Ashram sometimes.
But I want to. You can't see it from here, but in the back, Kaustubha's been bragging about his painting, and I appreciate it, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, enough of your painting already. But I went to the house yesterday, and it really feels like you could walk into the painting, and the painting, like Krishna and Balaram, could just like walk out of it. That is sort of like what I was feeling with that painting, Kaustubha. I'm going to just give heads up
That's why I'm talking about it all the time.
I know. I get it now. I get it. I didn't understand you.
Now you understand.
I should understand. Yeah. Anyway, if you like that stuff, if you like good Christmas gifts, or get yourself a Christmas gift, it's what's our friend's name? SoSacredArt.com. Look at the paintings on their I just looked at a painting on Instagram yesterday. So Sacred Art on Instagram. So Sacred Art, one word.
And the thing is, the quality of it is so the giclée print on canvas is so it's so good that
I know. It's like Krishna's going to come out and pull you in.
I look at that. I look at that painting, and it looks like Krishna. Sometimes it looks like it's 3D, and he's just coming out of it, and he's almost life size, So it's like it's.
Let's start a fund to get one for Mara. She's got some voodoo masks in her house that are creeping me out every time I go there. I was like, you got to replace these. I was like, these things are sending spells on you. She's like, well, I found these when traveling. I was like, yeah. Haven't you ever seen that Brady Bunch episode where he finds the tiki? It's the same thing.
It's a curse.
But I feel like I'm walking in the spiritual world. No one knows what I'm talking about that Brady Bunch episode. I've really dated myself. I'm elderly. This is hard.
That's when they went
I walked to Kaustubha's house, everybody. I walked to Kaustubha's house for my mom. So that is like almost 5 miles. And I tell you, I was feeling so good. These New Yorkers, they get so healthy just walking so much. I got to 45th Street. I was like, I'm healthy. I'm strong. My digestion's good. His wife's going to make an incredible lunch. I'm ready for this. 57th Street. My feet are killing me. I got a sore in my glute. And I was ready to die by the time I got to your apartment.
Okay.
I still am sore.
It was nice to have you over. Raghunath, he just we fed him well. He got this frantic energy going. You're running. I'm trying to slow you down.
your apartment is beautiful, but I can't be contained and I gotta break free.
But what happened was we fed him well. Then we sat him over on the couch.
You did a Hari Bhajan. Sit down, lay down.
And then I broke out the Shastra, and I started reading this book, The Sankalpa Kalpa Vriksha. My God, what a book! It's just like the beauty in that book was just.
Kostuba read to me while I was laying on my left side for digestion.
But
then I just sort of fell asleep.
A few verses in, Raghunath fell asleep. But he was
I had a dream that
asleep.
the cowherd boys were squirting me with holy colors. And it was just, I was drooling.
You were in a transcendental state for sure. You're like asleep, but still like taking it in. And every now and then you would like say something like,
Hare Krishna.
You would respond. Yeah. Yeah. No, the funny thing was, I think you're taking it in anyway, even though you're sleeping. And you said something like, I think I was actually taking it in more than like if I was awake, which may be true. Well, it was a beautiful book. All right.
Well, anyway,
we got to come back up today. We'll get some stuff done. But let's go to this nugget, Raghunath. We got a nugget today.
Okay. I got a nugget too. Can we have a double nugget day? Double nuggets.
But
it's double nugget Thursday.
I'm not into these nuggets that are just like, I don't know.
You don't like my nuggets.
I mean, it's fine. There's
don't get me going because then I'll say, well, I don't like your nuggets.
Well,
this is my nugget, and then we're going to hear your nugget. My nugget's simple. It's a simple nug that you can just, it's a little nug here.
Okay.
I put it on my Instagram. Focus on your dream, not your nightmare.
Okay.
That's a great nugget. You know why? I'm going to say, frankly, here.
Yeah.
I've been living in some nightmare stuff. I got turbo scenarios going on. I'm angry. I'm a little frustrated. I've got some issues. Okay, I'm just going to share that with you. I'm coming clean. I'm coming clean. I got some turbo scenarios, how I'm going to react. I'm feeling a little spiteful, a little hurt. And this divorce is driving me a little insane right now. And divorced people can relate to it.
You're doing
Ever
good,
do one of those? People are really quick to do these things like, let's have a conscious divorce. Ever heard about that? Conscious divorces?
I've heard something like that.
It never. If you're gonna have a conscious divorce, why not just stay married? If you're that cool about everything, let's have a conscious divorce. It really is pulling at everything in me right now, and I'm trying very difficult to zoom the heck out. Right? Yeah, conscious uncoupling. Conscious uncoupling. Good luck with that.
All right. No, you're doing good, Robbie. You're hanging in there.
I'm not doing good.
No, you are. You are. It's hard.
Yeah. Anyway, focus on my dreams. I got a lot of good dreams out there. And if you don't have good dreams, now I'm going to try to make it sound like I'm the therapist. Actually, I'm on my back on the couch, but I'm going to play it off like I'm the therapist right now. Focus on your dreams. And if you don't have a dream, start to dream. Start to tune into your dream. Focus in on your dream. Get articulate. Get real lucid. What is that dream? Where are you going? What do you want? Who do you want to become? A month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, where do you want to live? Who do you want to be with? What do you want to drive? What you want your offering to be?
Hold it. You see, that's where your nugget. It just started. It revealed itself. It's like, what do you want to drive? Oh, you see, now we're just getting.
If you're on a farm, you need a truck.
You see, it's getting.
He caught me. He caught me by one thing. By one strong material attachment. By one loud one. What do you want to drive? But it's true. You got to think about what you're hauling. You got a lot of kids. You need a big car, right?
Yeah, but my point is that
you're still holding me responsible for the episode where I said I want a stripe on my car. You're still holding me. No, I'm not.
It's not even.
Let me free. Let me free from that.
No. It's just like that nugget. It's a good nugget. It's important, but it's
focus on your dreams, not your nightmares. I've been focused on my nightmares, and I'm suffering because of it.
Okay, let's try the next nugget.
I'm trying to cleanse it.
Let's try the next nugget.
Okay, here's Kostuba's nugget. It's a little bit more refined, I will say.
Okay, it's from
the Hitopadesh, this book that we're reading from.
We're going to read 2 verses.
Okay, I'm getting real close for this.
And they're on the same subject. Do you need me to read it? Are you okay?
I'm so blind.
Do you need a magnifying glass?
I do. I just made it big.
What? What's the matter?
Just as the name of a medicine cannot cure a disease, right? Like Tylenol doesn't make my head go away, just the name.
Yeah.
So one who knows scripture but fails to act on it is not considered learned. Such people remain foolish even after much study. That's a great one, huh? Just as the name of a medicine cannot cure a disease, right? I can say Tylenol, Tylenol, Tylenol. I still got a headache, right? I got to take the Tylenol. If you want a nice allopathic analogy.
Right. So people do this, right? Like we study, we learn. But the point is that there's going to be a time in life where that is put to the test. Like you're going through right now.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to be,
right.
I'm trying to fess up. I'm failing, my friend. I'm saying the name, but I'm not applying it.
Well, no. I think you are. And now let's read what it says here. I'll just read part of the commentary. This is from such an Narayan Baba. And he says, when Arjuna lamented, he says, when one who laments, I'll read the whole thing. It says, like a parrot who recites verses or chants Hare Krishna, some people don't understand how to apply their acquired knowledge in adversity, right? Because that's when the knowledge actually gets challenged. All this stuff we talk about, right? It's nice, and, we can be in our yoga circles and discuss these things, and they sound good, and we can post them on our Instagram. Are you mocking
yoga circles, sir?
No, I'm not. And
I'm like
post
chief
them on
of the yoga circle guy.
And we can post them on our Instagram. But at a point in life, there's going to be some adversity, and that's when that knowledge, particularly, always, but particularly, that's our challenge. Can we apply that knowledge? Can we live seeing through the lens of that knowledge, or do we lament? So it says, similarly, one who laments, when attacked by the cat, the parrot squawks uselessly, right? Its chanting is done.
Oh, I get it. I get that analogy.
Right.
Now.
So now you hit adversity. Are you seeing the world through your knowledge, or are you just squawking like a parrot?
Well, I will say, in my defense,
it's not all about you, Rugger.
Well, no, you did this about me, didn't you?
Okay.
In my defense, I squawk, but I've got all these tools that are constantly flashing. Why not zoom out, Raghu? This is a moment in big history. Do you understand how tiny your planet is? And you're trying to make a big deal out of this.
And that's the application.
It's a moment. You put in your time. Your kids know that you love them.
Okay. So similarly, one who laments in adverse circumstances cannot be called a pundit, cannot be called a learned person or scholar. When Arjuna lamented on the battlefield, Lord Krishna rebuked him for his feeble-mindedness and pseudo-scholarship. In critical times, a real scholar practices the teachings of Shastra. A disease isn't cured merely by hearing about the medicine. One must ingest it. Similarly, scriptures are not only meant for hearing, but to be implemented. Otherwise, knowledge becomes a burden. Now, think about it. Like with different types of medicine, like sometimes said, like take this, like 10 minutes after a meal, or it's like there's certain times when the ingestion of that medicine will be particularly potent, right? And so similarly, adversity in life, that's the time when the application of the knowledge that we study and we discuss becomes particularly potent, right? Becomes particularly effective. And for that reason, we can honestly say that the adversities that we face in life are a blessing.
The adversity being like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Focus on your dreams, not the nightmare. Basically, I said this entire thing wrapped up in a tiny little sutra.
Okay. Now read the next one, which is
continuing
on the same subject.
on. Yeah. Just as a lamp in the hand of a blind man cannot help him see, so scriptural injunction yields no fruit for he who does not act on it with determination.
That's right.
Powerful stuff.
Here's the commentary. Shastra, meaning scripture, these ancient spiritual texts, is like a lamp. Yet one who studies without putting it into practical use is compared to a blind man, because although the lamp sheds light, the blind man cannot take advantage. As a lamp only serves those who have the power to see, so the Shastra enlightens those who understand it and have the intelligence, courage, and faith to put it into practice. The knowledge of one who fails to act is like a load of books on the back of an ass.
On the back of an ass. I love how asses are regularly used in analogies in India.
Asses. They really get
it,
like
dumbass.
Yeah. So he concludes, to be fruitful, Shastric knowledge must be put into practice. So
that's great.
I think
that reminds me of this
right?
incredible verse from the Bhagavad Gita. You know what I'm going to say? Yashastra vidhim utstrija vartate kamakarta nasasidhim avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. That's a great verse to memorize. What number is that? Is that the 8th chapter?
No, that's the 10th chapter, like 10.
No.
I think
it's not 10th chapter.
The Shastra. No, Shastra.
I got this one. Ready?
No, your 10th chapter. Yeah, I'll look it up.
Look it up while I say the English. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
This was unplanned. This is just lodged in my head from Brahmachari life. One who disregards scriptural injunctions and acts according to their own whims receives neither nasasidhim avapnoti nasukam, receives neither happiness, perfection, or the supreme destination. This is beautiful because when you start to act according to your own whims, disregarding Shastra, you don't even get happy. What to speak of perfection? Right? Nasukam na param gatim. You don't get perfection. You're not even happy in this world. Like the Shastra is made, it's sort of like, these are the laws when you live here. We drive on the right side of the road. We never drive on the left-hand side of the road. Even if there's no cars on the road, stay on the right. You never know. If coming around a turn, a car could be coming. Stay on the right. There are just rules in the Shastra that just make you peaceful, just make you happy, just keep you safe. Mm. This is why we don't drink alcohol. You know?
Yeah.
It's not like it makes you evil and God will punish you for it. We will punish ourselves. There can't be good that comes from that. So that's just a scriptural injunction. That's why we don't go there. Okay. And you say, well, I can do it. It's not a big deal for me. I have no problem with it. Guess what? There may be somebody that looks up to you that can't pull it off like you can. Ever think of that? Because some people say, well, my doctor says 2 glasses of wine a day. Guess what? You might be able to pull that off. You might have a child or a best friend that says, I look up to them and they do it. Well, why can't I do it? Some people can have 2 glasses of wine. They have to have 20.
You may have a child that does it. And what did you just say? The child drinks 2 glasses of wine?
Suppose you're a parent. Suppose you're a parent.
Okay.
And you say, well, this is what I do. And you say, it's got no effect on me.
Okay, I got you.
Not a little child, but like a 14-year-old.
The child might be drinking the 2 glasses of wine and you might follow their example. I was like, what?
Well, in Italy, they do.
Right.
The children all drink a couple of. My point is, what we do might work for us so we can stay balanced, but you might have somebody that looks up to you. And that's why in the Vedic paradigm, they keep the boundaries, the guardrails very high because we don't want to go down the slippery slopes.
So that was text 1623, 16th chapter. That's it. Right.
You're allowed to correct me, but you have to be right.
Okay, well.
No, Raghunath, that's not the 8th chapter. It's the 10th chapter.
I was moving in the right direction.
Now, hear my nugget.
Okay.
All right, let's get on to the Bhagavatam, Prabhu.
Yeah. It's all Bhagavatam, but
it's all Bhagavatam.
This is
good stuff.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That book was the Hitopadesh. It wasn't the Upadeshamrita, right? The
Hitopadesh.
Hito. And whose translation?
That was Satyanarayan Baba.
Satyanarayan Prabhu. Okay. Baba. Right. What does Baba actually mean? Just means, is that like an honorific term?
Yeah, it's honorific.
Is it? Because people call everybody Baba. Hey, Baba.
They do, but that's like saying sir or something like that.
Like when you say Hanji, yes, sir. You knock on someone's door and say Hanji. Okay, got it. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. And to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise of transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from Mara.
Reading from the third canto, 29th chapter, text 14.
We got to get Mara a new microphone for Christmas.
That's all I want for Christmas is. Okay. Fantastic.
So which one are we on now?
I don't know. 29, chapter 29,
Chapter 29, text
16,
15.
15. Okay. We hardly did text yesterday because we were
Yeah.
espousing transcendental wisdom without the text.
Okay.
A devotee must execute his prescribed duties, which are glorious, without material profit, without excessive violence. One should regularly perform one's devotional activity without excessive violence.
Well,
What do you think that
so
means?
well, what's happening now, Raghunath, is that pure devotion that we've heard about, we've heard that those bhakti yogis who do not desire anything material from their yogic practice, don't even desire liberation, right? That they're connecting with the real thing. And now we're going to hear about how to practice it. And we're going to hear, in other words, we're going to hear about how the mind becomes purified through the practice of bhakti, what you got to do, right? So the first thing that's being meant, we're going to hear about this in text 15, 16, 17, and 18. It's going to lay out, you know, in one sense, you could just, if you wanted to understand what is bhakti and how do you practice it, you could just look at these 4 verses and so much is there. So it begins with saying, it's interesting, it begins with saying that in your own life, you have certain social responsibilities. You have to be dutiful, right? If you want to practice this bhakti well, it's called one's svadharma here, right? It's an external it's an external consideration. So, and it's saying you need to be dutiful in life, you know. What did it say? A devotee must execute their prescribed duties, which are glorious, without material profit. I'm not doing it for material gain. That's where Bhagavatam began. Remember in the second chapter of the first canto when it said, you know, that one's duties, you don't do them for material gain. Actually, their value is that through them, you gain affinity for hearing about the glories of Sri Krishna. Right? It's a yogic process. So he's beginning here with saying that you perform your prescribed duties. But in our duties, you know, and here, you know, it's being spoken about in the context of Varnashram Dharma, right? Where like within this yogic culture, they recognize 4 different psychologies. Each psychology had its strengths and its weaknesses. And so the duties that you were meant to do, they addressed your weaknesses, right? They kind of like addressed your strengths and your weaknesses. And so, but whatever those duties are, like say some people are, you know, let's say business people, right? And in business, in one sense, you're competing. You're in a competitive world.
Sure.
So it can get a little rough. You know, you can step on people's toes and so on. It's not, you know, you have to try to sell more than your competition, or, you know, at least get in the competition. Yeah. And once you're in that world, there's the possibility that you begin to commit violence. In other words, you're actually operating in a way where you're hurting people. And the fact is, you may have to do that in life to some degree, but you shouldn't do it excessively here. You should minimize it. You know, you should be conscious of it. You should be caring. You should not be callous. That's, you know, in other words, be dutiful in life. Do the things that you need to do, but be conscious as far as possible not to hurt others as you're doing it.
Lovely.
Right? And Prabhupada, in the commentary, he begins to speak about vegetarianism, where it's like, even that is violence, right? It's like there's, you know, even a carrot, there's a soul in that, you know, you pull it out of the ground.
Whenever you talk about being a vegetarian or a vegan, that's the first first thing people say is, well, you're killing all these vegetables.
And it's true. So Prabhupada's actually validating that.
In the vegetarian or vegan's defense, you can cut romaine lettuce, it grows back. You know, you take berries, you take fruits, you're not killing. Oftentimes you're enhancing the growth. You know, leaves.
Yeah,
when you take the root, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Once you start, you know, what to speak of if you're like, you've got these big machinery and you're getting soy, you're like killing so many rodents while you're that are living in the farm. There's blood on everybody's hands. but
Right.
it's minimized.
That's right. You
try to
become
minimize
conscious of it and you minimize it.
Yeah.
So that was the first instruction here. Be dutiful. Your duties will be glorious. Even though to some yogis, they may say, look, that guy's just totally entrapped in the material world. He's in the business world. No. It's glorious if you're doing it in the right consciousness. It's bringing you to the highest level of consciousness. But part of it is that you're doing it without material profit. I'm not doing this for my own profit. I'm not doing this so that I can buy all the things that I think are going to make me happy. I'm doing it as a service. I'm doing it. I want to be an instrument, of the divine in all that I do. And part of that is you're doing it in the consciousness where I'm trying not to step on others' toes as little as possible.
On the chat board, Krishna Das quotes Prabhupada saying, if you are slaughtering animals and you are comparing that killing of the vegetables and the killing of the animals are the same, then killing your son and killing the animals also the same. Why do you discern? Why do you discriminate then?
Little logic there.
Touche.
So it is a gradation of violence,
Yeah,
right?
come on.
And so the
Of course
yogi's
there is.
minimizing it. And what we're being asked to do is minimize it, but beneath the animal level, bring it to the plant level. Where the soul in that body is far less sensitive, far less aware of, far less, experiencing far less in terms of pain.
Existence is violence.
Oh, where existence is violent from Dayton, Ohio.
Existence
Maybe that
is
should be the name of the. Maybe that should be the name of the record.
Yeah, it's more like a name of a record.
Okay.
Trap Down Under. Existence is violence.
And being released this week.
On Death Threat Records. Taylor and Sam from Dayton. Okay.
Okay, so we
Continuing
did
on.
dutiful. That was the first thing. That's an external consideration. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the practices that one does to cultivate the inner consciousness here. Text 16. This is going to deal with the external ritual and with the vision that one is cultivating for practice of bhakti.
The devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual. That's a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the whole thing.
Yeah, you got to worship the idols. Okay,
So,
we're bringing idols back, people. Idols can also be God.
Well, let's briefly address that, and not that we haven't in the past, but in our culture, let's say Judeo-Christian culture, Western culture,
Islamic culture, Abrahamic traditions.
yeah,
Except, although these Byzantine Christians, there's a lot of idols going on there.
Well,
There's the Mother Mary, the Christ on the cross, figurines in churches, and
part of the Protestant
manger.
Reformation. Part of the Protestant Reformation was to kind of remove all of that. So in Catholic churches, you'll see more of that. In Protestant churches, you won't see that.
I always loved the idols. I kept Mary and Jesus on my bed table.
That was your bhakti, potential.
It was my bhakti potential.
Venus,
Even the manger, when we busted out the manger for Christmas, that was like holy for me.
the nativity scene.
The nativity scene, yes, it was holy.
Nice.
Okay.
So when we see it portrayed, commonly we're seeing it portrayed as some kind of very primitive idea wherein there is this vengeful God, and if they're not provided the worship, then they will destroy your village or that kind of thing. Right?
And the thing is, there are gods like
That will destroy your village.
there are gods. We also believe in that too. You're partially correct, but there's good gods that we also worship.
But really, the idea that's presented here, in these Vedic texts, is not that the God is at all dependent on your worship, on your offering at all. The idea is that it's easier. The whole point is the yoga means to begin to direct and focus your mind. And by having and Prabhupada will say like this, the authorized form, right? Like not just any imaginary form, but the form that's described in the Shastras. And then through rituals, one can call the presence of God within that form. Now you have a form wherein you can focus your senses. So it's going to aid your meditation. Now you're not just doing it in the mind, which is harder to control. When you can engage your senses, the mind becomes easier to control. And so through the worship of the deity in the temple, or if one does it in one's home, it's a way of engaging one's senses, through beautiful Sanskrit prayers and poetry, through the offerings of fragrant flowers and oils, through the entire process becomes a way of cultivating a mood of service, which is our true nature, bringing that out so that what's inside us arises. We use something external to aid that. And so it's a very potent, it's considered, of all the different practices, there are 5 that are considered very potent, and this is one of them. It is very, and we've seen it in many people's lives, have we not?
For sure.
So
Maturavas.
Maturavas. Oh, that's another one. Living
That's
in the
one
holy
of
Dham.
Living in the holy place.
But so here it's being mentioned. Oh, first, be dutiful. Do your duties in life. This, just go down the checklist. Am I doing this? As we're entering into a new year soon, one could think, let me put these on a checklist and let me try to solidify these in my life. The first one was to be dutiful, but to do it with as little violence as possible. Then the second one says, engage in some level here of deity worship. It may not be, really it's something that you become qualified to do, but it can be done on a simple level in one's home. Even if one has a favorite painting and they offer a little incense and offer their food to it and offer some prayers to it on a daily basis, you've brought that element into your life, right? And then the next thing mentioned,
set up a sacred space in your house.
Set up the sacred space. Yeah. Now, then it says,
let me just jump in here because I was at your house yesterday.
Okay.
When I say set up a sacred space in your house, it's nice to have a little secret spot. That's your spot. If you have kids, or if you have, it depends on your household. If your spiritual practice is private, then you have your own private spot, your sitting place, your meditation. It's nice to go to a cushion where you sit on, that you read in front of. Sometimes I like to even read to my altar, to my deities on my altar. If you're the head of the household and your coupleship is into it, then you make that more of a spot, a sacred spot. And like Kastuba, it's the center of your home. Most people's center of their home is the big widescreen TV. I get it. It's sort of the family room, etc. But isn't it nice to have the concept of the deities are the center of my home? Therefore, my home is an ashram. It's the center of my life. And then you think of your home, and even think of cleaning your home. You think of cleaning the temple. You think of, buying food. And what you're thinking, I'm buying this for Krishna so I can offer to Krishna. Wherever you're at in your position in life, you might be the only one. Your kids aren't into your path, and your spouse may not be into your path. But I think it's important to sort of, like, wherever you are, you work that. You work that, and you try to expand on it. And if you can get it where your whole home is your ashram, it just means it's going to assist your meditation with whatever you do. I go outside, I pick flowers. I think, I'm going to offer these to Krishna. These flowers are growing. The win here is, how can I think of Krishna all the time, no matter what I'm doing, even just walking around the yard, or walking around the city, or walking around, or food shopping, or cleaning. Things that seem mundane actually become very significant when you establish holy place within your home.
That's a takeaway right there.
There you go.
Say that again. Things that seem mundane.
I'm not saying it. God's speaking through me. I don't even know what I said.
Are you even aware of anything that's going on?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Did you know that there are these groups? There's a
Here we
whole
go. Here
tribe
comes the squirrel.
No,
there it goes.
It's got something to do with what I'm saying.
Okay.
I've read this in that book by, what's that author we like from the Scottish guy, Mara?
Vyasadeva. Scottish guy?
Come on,
Oh,
Mara.
William
Yes.
Dalrymple.
Darley Limple. William Darley Limple, 9 Lives. The
Yeah.
book is called Great book. You want a great book. And he talks about this. He talks about this group of Sudras. Sudras, like a lower class, the lowest class in the caste system in South India. But for 1 month a year, they become possessed by spirit, and even the Brahmins worship them, and they start acting. They put on dramas or rituals.
You sure they're not faking?
I don't think they're faking. I think it's accepted as completely bona fide. Anyway, check out that book. It's a great book, Kostu. You would like it.
9 Lives?
9 Lives by William Dari. I'll put it.
Dalrymple. Yeah.
Dalrymple. I'm gonna find it right now.
Okay.
Okay.
So
continue on,
you
sorry.
work on that.
That wasn't a squirrel, Prabhu. That was part of.
Okay.
That was conversation.
All
We're
right,
having
okay.
conversations.
It felt like a squirrel coming on. You got me like paranoid now because you do it so much. It's like I get worried.
You get worried about me?
Yeah. You're worried that
Like
you're
I'm
gonna,
losing my mind?
worried that you're going to chase a squirrel. So let's get back to this verse. The devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, touch my lotus feet, offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about the vision that one cultivates. So first we heard about being dutiful. Then we heard about this ritual, engaging in this very powerful, potent form of ritual, transformative form of ritual. And now we're going to hear about the vision that you're meant to cultivate, the eyes that you're meant to see. And again, similar to like we were talking about yesterday, how you see other people. And so what it says now is that in a spirit of renunciation. That's important, right? And it's a spirit of renunciation means I can let it go, right? Let it go, right? When the challenge and the tension comes, I can let it go. So in a spirit of renunciation, from the mode of goodness, because that's where you get that. When you're seeing things clearly, when you're seeing things lucidly, you can let things go. From that position, one should see every living entity as spiritual, right? Spiritual. And we're not talking in vague ideas of spirituality here. What that means is I understand that every living being is a spark of the same spiritual energy that I am made out of.
The people.
And that ultimately, that ultimately is the energy of God. And
Right.
so, and I also recognize that we're all going through different bodies, different, and when we say different bodies, it means even different mindsets. That we're all trapped in these vehicles with this programming. And even though there may be a form that I don't find particularly appealing, or even a mindset or behavior that I don't find particularly appealing, I'm seeing beyond that. That's what it means to see that every living entity is spiritual, right?
Yes.
Why do you laugh at that?
I'd say it's like just not the people that you like they're spiritual. All my friends are spiritual. The people that you don't like, the people that drive you crazy. Like Mara's got a nemesis. I don't know if you know about this.
No. Is that why she got into
Mara's got a
boxing?
nemesis cook thing going on. She's got her evil nemesis. It's an upstate thing. You know what I'm going to say, Mara. So I'm not going to say it. Cosmic Donuts.
They closed.
I know your
took them
hate
down.
drove them out of business.
Listen to that evil laugh. She's like, Cosmic Donuts. Cosmic Donuts.
Cosmic Donuts.
Really?
They were like the rising star of Kinderhook. Everyone was Cosmic Donuts. There was a line around the block. It's like a one-horse town. There's like a line around the block. Mara's pulling out her hair. But she's like, oh, no, they'll never top me. Everyone's got a nemesis. But you got to love them. You got to love Cosmic Donuts.
Love them.
Love them.
Yeah, okay. So now we're getting some. This is solid spiritual practice here.
Solid
spiritual
spiritual
advice,
information right here, sir.
We got the thing about being dutiful with as little violence as possible. We got the thing about the ritual. Now we got the thing about cultivating this vision. And how do you cultivate it? It's similar to what we were reading in the Nugget today, right? It's like when the tension is there, you have to reflect on the knowledge that you heard. That's how you apply it, right? When the tension is there, this person's being a jerk. Right there, you got to reflect.
Right there. Get out of that nightmare. Get out of that.
Or maybe I can be cruel in this case. Maybe because it's just, this kind of living entity. It doesn't matter, right? No. Same spiritual energy in that living being. Same as myself. Same as God. That's spiritual. Seeing every living entity is spiritual. Okay, if you want to achieve that purity of mind, if you want our true nature to arise, this becomes a very, very important consideration. In Sanskrit, it's called samadarshana, right? That equal vision.
Can I ask you some spiritual advice, Prabhu?
All right.
I don't know what to do. My mother is 95. She's not in the room right now. She's 95.
For a haircut today?
Taking her for a haircut today in Chinatown, and it's cheaper. She's so cheap. Anyway, but my point is, like, how much should I preach to my mother? She's 95. Who knows when a 95-year-old could die? Do I preach to her? Do I just be nice to her? Like, at what time do you say, listen, Mom, we're getting old here. Let's start getting serious about our spiritual life. When do I, I push it, or do I not push it?
I think you're the expert and you know her.
You know what? I know.
But sometimes you get, like sometimes I get what you're saying. Like sometimes you say, you know what, I can't push this person, so let me just leave it right here. But then sometimes you're thinking, maybe now's the time, or like maybe I should push it a little bit here, right?
Right. It's one of these things. I'm like one of those guys. I don't preach. You know, I don't look at myself as a preacher. Usually people sign up for a course, they listen to the podcast, and therefore they've opted in to hear my mouth.
You're not bringing.
I don't go out of the way and say, "Excuse me, sir, do you know Lord Krishna is the?" I don't do that. And I'm not saying it's bad to do that, but I'm saying I don't.
Well, you definitely
but I find
did
it works better
musician
to speak to people who want to know about it.
Okay.
You know, like Maharaj Prickett approaches Sukadeva Goswami because Sukadeva, and when they want to know, they're open to hearing it. I didn't start telling Joe Rogan about the yoga system until he asked me. I knew him for years before that.
Right.
But at one point, then he said, "Tell me about pranayama. Tell me about yoga. Tell me about metaphysics."
Your yoga journey.
Yeah, tell me about your yoga journey. So anyway, my point is, my mom doesn't ask. At what point do you start being the preacher?
That's a person you have an intimate relationship with, right? So that means that intimacy should grant, you know, the freedom, the space to kind of like say, hey, I care about you, so I want to share this. Yeah. But then, of course, you have to see whether she's receptive to it or not. If she's not receptive, there's no point.
Okay.
Right. Then it actually can likely become counterproductive. I mean, maybe it plants a seed, but maybe it also is counterproductive and kind of turns the person off.
I haven't set up my altar in her house. Should I do that?
Well, you know that, again, you know her better than I do. That might be exactly the kind of thing that she might not be able to understand. It might, you know, I wanted to mention this when you brought up about like setting up your sacred space in your home too. Like you said, like you may be the only person in the home that's really into this. And if that's the case, like you said, it's the kind of thing you should be able to close up and keep it sacred so that, you know, people aren't in that space without that sacred mood. Otherwise, it all just starts to it
becomes like decorations.
Diluted. Yeah. And it becomes,
oh, cool. Yeah. What's this? A rock collection or a little statue? What is this thing?
Yeah.
Picking it up.
Yeah. So you know better than I do how she might respond to that. That might be the kind of thing that's like totally makes no sense to her.
I might have to resort to the Ganga water in a spray bottle thing. Hey, Mom, squirt. Why'd you do that? Don't ask.
No, just take it to the hairdresser today and put that in her.
Oh, imagine that. A switcheroo with a hairdresser, squirting her head with Ganga water. You're a genius, my friend.
There you go. Maybe that could become like someone's service to just like go around to hairdressers and barbershops. Yeah. You know, like even where they have like, you know how in the barbershop they have that thing full of colored water where they put the combs in it?
Yes.
Yes. Fill that up.
Switch it up with them Gunga gel.
Yeah, then when they comb your hair, then you're getting that Gunga gel.
All right. I'm sorry. That was a squirrel, but it was an important thing. I felt like people would benefit from it, so I shared it. I asked.
Nobody even called you out on that, Raghunath.
A couple people were impressed that she's getting her hair done.
Okay.
You know, she's barely got any hair.
Yep. Okay, next verse.
All right.
What's the next one about?
17, right?
Oh. You know, this verse.
16.
Oh, we're on 16. Okay. No,
the devotee should regularly see. No, 17. You're right.
17.
The pure devotee should execute devotional service by giving the greatest respect to the spiritual master and the Acharyas. So the Acharyas are like the previous masters.
Now take note. What we're hearing about is it's being mentioned who you should show like a lot of, it says great respect, right? So this is verses similar to this kind of stuff that we were talking about, how to relate with different categories of people.
Right. So we don't treat them all the same.
Yeah. So it's saying here, the pure devotee, with greatest respect for the spiritual master and the acharyas, especially those people who are examples, you know, of deep spiritual insight and, you know, who embody spirituality, you show them great respect. You know, do we show great respect to anyone in this world? I mean, like, were you brought up to even show great respect?
In the West now, where you can shout out your teachers and call them down. You can't receive information. You don't get the blessings of Saraswati that way.
Yeah.
You so have that's the knowledge, just like the whole verse, like the Hitopadesh, your nugget today. Yeah. You know, we're going through the process. I'm going to education, but I have no, I'm not taking the medicine. There's no culture. They're not taking the medicine. That's why it's not even got anything to do with your great qualifications. Krishna will not use your great qualifications unless you have a mood of humility and service. You might think, well, I'm very qualified. I'm so much more qualified. I should be doing what he's doing or what she's doing. It's got nothing to do with that. We are replaceable. Arjuna, of course not, but you could say Arjuna was replaceable. If he didn't want to serve Krishna, there would be someone else that would step up to that.
That even
I'm
comes
replaceable.
up in the 11th chapter.
I'm doing this podcast. Everybody loves this podcast. All these others out there. Guess what? I'm completely replaceable. I might be useful because I can tell a joke and pop in a story and quote a couple verses. I'm completely replaceable if I lead with my ego. If I lead with my ego, Krishna will be like, next, please. And he'll put someone else in that place to do the same role. The podcast is Krishna's desire. It's become obvious by the blessings of gurus and the guru's encouragement. But me and Kostuba and Mara, we're all replaceable. We're replaceable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's important.
So the first one was to show this respect to these people that embody great respect. Okay, what about the next category of person?
Well, this gets interesting now. He should be compassionate to the poor, and right.
Okay, so that's
one category. So when someone's struggling, the materialistic consciousness is. I knew a person who was like a manager, and they just said, yeah, when I was before they were a devotee, they would say, I used to just, everybody who worked for me, I tried to like just crush them. I was thinking that's so horrible. But some people, when you give them some power, they're not really qualified to hold it and they use it. And you might have a boss like that just tries to grind you because they're flexing their power. It makes them feel like they have some strength.
Yeah.
They should be compassionate to those under them, the poor.
Anyone less fortunate.
Less fortunate,
right?
yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not as good a person, but in one way or another, they're less fortunate.
You should be compassionate to the poor and make friendship with persons who are his equals.
Okay,
right?
That's interesting.
You got people who are equals, become friends with them.
So we got three categories. In one sense, those that are more fortunate, less fortunate, and equally fortunate to myself.
Sure.
Right?
But all his activities should be executed under regulation, with control of the senses.
Okay.
That's like that's the basics. Here's the basics. Control your senses. This is the basics for driving your car on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
regulation. Yoga always requires regulation. People think, oh, it's about being free. And it is about finding freedom, but through regulation. Just like take it to the asana. Take it to the asana level, right? It's like if you want to practice asana, you can say, like I'm free. I just practice it whenever I feel like it. No. If you really want to progress in it, you have to regulate it, right? Do it regularly. Yeah. But one point I want to bring up here, let's say within a context of the yoga culture, let's say within the context of a bhakti yoga sangha, let's say, right? I think in one sense, it's not so difficult to give respect to the superiors, or to the elders, or to the seniors, or to the those that are deeply spiritual, because one looks good when they're doing that, and it's not necessarily so challenging to be kind or compassionate towards those that are less fortunate, because one looks good doing that too.
Sure.
So you want to do it because you'll be seen a certain way. So the sannyasi comes, the guru comes, and you're like all reverential and everything like that. You put on a whole display, and there's sometimes that
welcome.
Throwing the flower petals and doing the whole thing, giving super straight dandavat, staying down there for a long time, whatever it is, But when it comes to one's equals, and actually there's like you're not getting glorified for your humility or for your generosity. Nobody's really seeing that and glorifying that, but it's actually the most because those ones that are one's equals, in one sense, are the most challenging to you. Right. Like they are the ones that might get the attention that you want. They are the ones that might get whatever, they're right there. And it's so important,
Kastub, this is why a lot of people comment to me, goes, what I like about the show, I get this a lot. What I like about the show is how you and Kastuba relate to each other.
There's a friendship there.
It's a friendship, but it's I feel like it's a Vaishnava friendship.
Yeah.
Whereas I really respect you, and I feel like you really respect me, and it's not just, and we can hear from each other. We can ask each other for advice. Whereas sometimes it's hard to do that with a peer. You can hear from a senior, but it's hard to do it, and it's hard to instruct. Like if I really there was something bothering me about Kostuba, I would say, hey Kostuba, first of all, I'd do it privately. I wouldn't get on my Facebook. Hey, what does everybody think about Kostuba's always talking about the painting? It's not how you do it. You have a private conversation. Kostuba, I think you're talking a little bit too much about that painting.
Yes, yesterday, I called Raghunath up right after the show. He's like, "Oh, am I in trouble?" If I call him right after the show, he's like, "Oh
He
no."
calls me right after the show. I was like, oh boy. But you know what? I like to hear it because we are here. We're living for correction. I'm not living to prove that I'm right. I want the Vaishnavas, the people that I respect, to correct me, right?
Yeah.
To keep me on my spiritual path. And I want
That's
to
when
please the
that's when you
Vaishnavas.
got a fruitful friendship when you can do that. You know, it's funny because just a couple days ago, someone wrote me an email, a real sweet person and friend of ours who in a conversation they spoke about someone dear to them, but the way that they spoke about them might have sounded like they weren't as dear or they didn't respect that person as much. It was a very small thing actually, but the person said it was weighing on them all day, and they wrote to me saying, you know, I just want to be clear that I said something I don't feel good and it's weighing on me. And then the person asked me,
Yeah.
like, do you, you know, you're a person that never does that kind of thing. Like, you know, what should I do so that I don't do that anymore? And I was like, no, I know exactly what you're experiencing because I feel like in one way, almost every day on every show in public in front of thousands of people, I feel like I probably slight you in some little way, Raghunath, you know, or I do that. And I said, I know what that feels like. I'm very guilty of it myself. So I want to take this opportunity to ask for your forgiveness, Raghunath, because I know that I'm prone to do
I
that.
take no offense. I
You
take no
may not
offense,
take any
and I
offense, but
deserve to
still.
be slighted. I deserve much more than what you give me. I deserve a swift
see,
kick
this is-
in the patoot.
But this is you see. But the reason that you respond this way is because he's been cultivating these kind of instructions, you know, for so many years. You know, it's become natural and second nature. You know, but I do think that really a lot of, you know, bhakti yoga. We're not saying we're going to go and isolate ourselves and I'm going to achieve this yoga goal based on my own power. We're saying I'm going to practice within a sangha. And here's how I'm going to relate to, you know, I'm going to be very respectful to this kind of people. I'm going to be very, you know, kind and compassionate to this kind. And on that friendship level, it's really important that we have those friendships. We should be able to know exactly who those people are that we're practicing right alongside with, you know, and we, you know, just like when you came over yesterday, it was just like, yeah, just lie down on the couch and what are we going to do? Just take out that book, start reading, you know, and it's just like, to have a person where you can do that kind of thing with, where you can share what you're going through, a person understands what you're going through. And maybe we both don't have the answer ourselves. Maybe we do go to those that we respect more. But you have to have those kind of people where you don't, you let go of any feelings of competition. You let go of, you on at equal level, you filter out all of those potential bumps that one hits, and you cultivate very strong friendships, you know. It makes a huge difference in one's practice.
We need those friends in our life. Thank you for being there for me, Prabhu.
Thank you for being a friend.
What do we got for takeaways, Madam Mara? Mara
right.
Mataji? Mataji Mara?
Mara
In
Mara,
adversity, we need
Mother
to
Mara?
Mother Mara.
Mother Mara comes to me.
He doesn't sing the song like that. It's not like every song is like, I like where you're strangling the microphone.
All right.
In times of adversity, we need to apply spiritual knowledge.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
Do your duties with as little harm as possible.
That's a lousy T-shirt, but I like it.
Be
Walk
an
around
instrument.
here like your shirt.
Be an instrument of the divine.
That's a better shirt.
Yeah.
Not
To be
great.
this isn't the best shirt. To be fruitful, shastric knowledge must be put into practice.
Great
shirt.
but lousy shirt.
Deity worship cultivates your innate position as servant.
What?
Deity
worship
worship cultivates your innate position as the servant.
It does. It does.
Mundane tasks become sacred when you put God in the center.
Boom. That was Rogue's right there.
Mundane text becomes sacred.
Tasks.
Tasks. Okay.
We got to get
Okay.
a better microphone.
You got to get her a microphone. I can't understand anything she's saying.
Krishna won't use your qualifications if you don't have a mood of humility.
Boom, bah.
Yeah,
I like that.
And we're all replaceable if we lead with ego.
Oh, yeah. That is beautiful. Well, that is good. If you also want to step into the windows of the spiritual world, check our friend out. Devotea, our favorite artist. SoSacredArt.com. We love
You
what
just
she's doing.
like
I
want
just
to do
support.
commercials. It's like
You know what? I like commercials. BavaWellness.com. Use the coupon code Wisdom of the Sage WOTS 108 to get 10 or 20% discount.
Right.
I should have done commercials for all your wellness products. My mom's, you know what I'm gonna say. MyMom'sNuts.com. I get so many emails of people saying that is so funny that you always say MyMom'sNuts.com. People like to say that. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I want everybody who's out there. There's so many secret others out there, and they're living this secretive life, and they will never reveal themselves to us, or they're just shy. I want you to come on Zoom every now and then, show your face so we can recognize you, and I too can give you a nickname. Okay? And you got to just get the codes from Mara and then tune on at whenever we're doing it. So it's Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com, and you too can get the secret codes and be a part of our Zoom team. And also, you want to join Patreon. This is community supported. You got to give, and then you get the treasure vault of back wisdom classes, Sweet Baby Krishnas, all of Kostuba's important lectures. It's all free. Once you get on, it's not free. You join the Patreon community and whatever, but it's still whatever you want to give. For the price of a cup of coffee, less. You can
way less.
Kostuba a half a cup of chai every month. So join Patreon and get that whole treasure trove.
How much does it cost to get like one of those, like Starbucks coffee?
$2.99, small.
Okay, and how about a large?
I don't know. I don't buy larges. I buy smalls.
You have no idea how much it costs?
I don't buy the fancy drinks. I just buy a cup of coffee.
Okay. Well, even if you do that,
spend all my money.
But like a larger must cost like $6 or something like that, right?
Something. It's ridiculous. People blow money.
So like if you do that once a month, it's like one coffee a month.
One coffee a month.
It's a really generous.
You like coffee better than us? Come on.